That's a pretty nice figure because the Mets don't retire these numbers. Stengel, Jackie Robinson, Tom, and Mike. That's as good as it gets. And he says hello here, Hall of Fame catcher here on High Heat. Mike, welcome. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Good to see you. Yeah, excited. Finally, excited to get these boys on the field and get some baseball, even though it's limited. I'd love to see the fans eventually back in the stadium because that's what it's all about. But since I've been watching the Korean League a little bit, I say, okay, we'll adapt. But it's going to be fun to see the guys playing again.
There you go. Good job. You know, and I was just thinking about it. You closed, Shea, you and Tom did, coming in from center field. And that was after a bad Met loss, which cost them a postseason. The crowd stuck around, and you and Seaver you and Tom, terrific, lifted everybody up. That must have been a surreal day for you, correct?
Yeah, we kind of had the analyze it saying it was kind of like having a party at a funeral because the season was obviously ended very poorly. But look, I mean, baseball is that way. Baseball is a game on failure, and the one thing I love about the Mets is the fact that the loyal fan base and how dedicated the fans are through a lot of ups and downs, and the way we celebrate, obviously, the Miracle team, the '86 team, the 2000 team, and so Shea, as limited as it was still the home, and there was a lot of history there and a lot of great players. So the fact that I was able to do it with Tom to close the stadium and move the team over to Citi Field the next year was a big thrill.
And obviously, the ball that you hit against Mariano on most nights leaves the ballpark to end Game 5 of the 2000 World Series. In the darkness there, I thought that ball was gone. He hit it well, Mike. It didn't leave the ballpark. You had a lot of those at that ballpark at Shea with that air.
Yeah.
Give me some thoughts on that ball that hit off Mariano in Game 5.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a good swing off Mariano Rivera, it's a positive. As a ball player, you got to look at it. Unfortunately, it ended the World Series, but putting that aside, I mean, he was so tough to really to get good swings on because he had such great stuff and he was such a competitor. And in those situations, he thrived. But look, it is what it is. It was funny. I used to joke with Lenny Harris all the time. He was playing with Arizona, and I think Todd Stottlemyre was pitching. And the wind was blowing in like 30 miles an hour. And he made a joke. He said, "Nobody's going deep today." And I said, "For some people, maybe." I said, "I'm going to go deep." And I made a joke, and we were joking about it. And he actually hung me a slider. And the only way you could hit a home run is you had to wrap it around the foul pole. So I wrapped it around the foul pole. And as I was going around third base, him and I exchanged a chuckle because it was such a joke. I was like, "There's no one going to leave this ballpark." So, yeah, I mean,
Right.
as much as it was tough to hit and the conditions were tough, and I remember April games going there and winds blowing straight in from center field 30, 40 miles an hour, and we got through it. I mean, that was the thing. We knew the other team had to play there as well, and so we looked at it like a home field advantage. And yeah, it was difficult. It was definitely not the best ballpark at the time, but we made the best of it, and we had a lot of fun, and the electricity was obviously palatable. I mean, you knew that as well.
88 Dodgers haven't won for a long time, Mike. Is there a big part of you that's still a Dodger? I know you're working with the Mets now, and you know this is where you got your Hall of Fame credentials here. I'm in Dodgers too, but really more so you solidified it here. And the Dodgers haven't won in a long time. Do you still have a piece of your heart that is a Dodger fan?
Yeah, I mean, if you recall my Hall of Fame speech, I really gave credit to coming up through the Dodger system, the coaches. I mean, you go to when they were back in Vero Beach, you had, I mean, when I first got in, Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, Johnny Roseboro, Roy Campanella before he passed away. And so you're surrounded by greatness. And I just remember being inspired by that. And as I gave credit to Reggie Smith, who the year before I signed with the Dodgers, they brought him in as the hitting coordinator. And if it wasn't for Reggie refining my swing and teaching me how to utilize my power, become shorter, and become a better hitter, I would have never made it. As far as the Dodgers, look, I've said many times, people I see in some circles think that I have hard feelings. It's not the case at all. I mean, they've made a ton of changes in the last few years. And naturally, again, I've always been an East Coast guy, and I went in the Hall of Fame as a Met because I feel like the Mets really made an effort to sign me. But look, I have great fans still and friends in LA, and who knows? I mean, I never say never. It's been a strange year, but I've always embraced coming up to the Dodgers and being developed by them. And unfortunately, when it was contract time, we didn't see eye to eye, and things happen, and you have to move on. You have to make the best situation. But again, I always have a special place in my heart for the Dodgers and the guys and the coaches and everyone I interacted with in that organization.
And Mike should have been the MVP in '97. Giants caught the Dodgers late, and they gave it to Larry Walker. Mike should have won the MVP. You didn't think I knew that, huh? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, and I always tell people,
been...
I tell people all the time, I said in 3 consecutive years, I hit 336, 346, and 360. And all 3 years, I finished third in the batting title. But of course,
Wow.
I had the great Tony Gwynn and Larry Walker and a couple other guys that I competed against. But people say, "Man, you must really be bummed about that." I go, "No, because Tony Gwynn brought out the best in me. I love chasing that guy. He was a great hitter. His greatness is enshrined in the Hall of Fame, as you know. So I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, you can never be sort of regretful of what you don't have. I'm always thankful for what I have, and to play against these greats, and I truly felt they made me a better player. So they inspired me. So it was definitely a positive.
One last thing, Mike, on the 60 games as a catcher. You haven't played for 4 months. You got to get back in sort of the. It's like a new glove. You got to wear it in if you're a catcher. You got to get some games under your belt.
This is like spring training, man. And this is like spring training. This is a cakewalk. These guys should breeze through this season. So I'm just as curious as anybody.
You got to. A big hitter like you can't take days off. You almost got to play 55 of the 60 games, right, for your team to have a chance to make the playoffs. As a catcher, that's always hard to do. Go ahead.
That's true. No, games like this, I mean, Eric Karros and I used to joke all the time. We'd go to Wrigley and the wind would be blowing out. And we'd say, man, you got to crawl off the training table to get in the lineup today, man. You got to get in that lineup. So, 60 games, these guys better get busy. I mean, this for me, I'd go all 60 if I was playing. I'd be like, I'm not having a day off. Let's just gut through it. Maybe get a few innings later in the game if there's a blowout either way. But at the end of the day, man, you got very limited time to throw up some numbers. So these guys better get busy and get those bats going.
I don't want to pick on Benitez, but if he gets 3 outs in the 9th inning, the Mets may have beaten the Red Sox to coming from 3-0 down. The first team to do that, Boston in 04. Mets had the Braves in big trouble. Mike hit a big home run in Game 6 against Smoltz, and you won that game. You could have won a Game 7 in '99. Mike, how about that real quick? Let me hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I saw Smoltzy a few times on the golf course, and we always embraced the battles we had, Maddox and Glavine. I mean, I tell people all the time when they say, "Oh, you guys couldn't beat the Braves," I was like, they had 4 Hall of Famers. I said, man, it's like they were a hell of a team. So as much as it was frustrating for us that we could never get over the edge with them, and we were fortunate we went around them in 2000. As I said, they brought the best out of us. And as I said, you're always going to look back with regrets and say, what if? But that's baseball. And I played on some great teams and have amazing memories. I mean, I was joking a few months ago with seeing Pat Mahomes, his kid, do so well in the NFL. I remember him running around the clubhouse.
Good point.
When we were at Shea, he was running around, and then I saw him start to get success on the football field. I go, I know that guy. So Pat Mahomes was a great teammate. I enjoyed playing with him, and I'm very happy for his son's success.
Good job, Mike. Out of you. We'll keep in touch. We'll see you next year, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We'll do a lot on that. I'm sure you'll join us with that big home run. Always a pleasure. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you coming on.
All right. God bless. Let's go, Mets. Have a great season, man.